All right. Good morning. Okay. Well, let's begin. So we'll tuck our thumbs into our fingers and let our hands rest on our thighs. And just take a few moments to arrive here together and to bring our awareness to the three treasures: the body and the alignment of the body, the breath and the movement of the breath, and the mind and the focus of the mind. So just attuning to your alignment, attuning to your physical sensations. So we can root down through our seat or through our feet. And from that rooting, almost like a downward pressure or intention or movement through our seat or through our feet, that helps this sensation of energy rising up through the body, bringing it up the spine and through the back and the top of the head, which can help us to find some length. So with this downward pressure through our seat or our feet and through this upward lift through the back and the top of our head, we have a stretch, and within or in between those two poles, we can then fill with breath. So breathing in and filling all of that space, filling it from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom so much that then it starts to expand outwards, creating width, creating length, and a nice stretch through the collarbones and the shoulder girdle, and even through the bottom of the rib cage and the diaphragm, maybe even in the pelvic girdle and the hips somewhat. And if you found that expansion, extension on the inhalation, as you exhale, see if you can maintain some of it. So not just completely relaxing and letting it all go as you exhale, but maintaining some of that engagement that you found with the inhalation, so that our posture maintains a kind of aliveness or a vitality. So that even just sitting or standing statically, the body is engaged, it's alive, it's dynamic. It gives our minds something to pay attention to feel into, to explore. To be curious about. What does it feel like to maintain this engagement? Is it easy? Is it hard? Are there areas of tension that begin to build? Is it possible to make subtle adjustments, whether that's with your positioning of your structure or just the focus of your mind or the movement of your breath, those subtle adjustments, can that help some of that tension to soften, to open, to reveal a way of maintaining engagement that is more effortless? And the breath is so useful, helping us to move more deeply into our alignment, moving more deeply into engagement of the body, helping to create some space and create some lift and some stretch. The breath can help to support our structure so that we can then relax and soften around it. And as you're ready, let's just bring our hands together and warm our hands up. Getting a little more chilly in the mornings. Fall is here. The fall equinox is next week. Let's take a nice deep breath in together. And exhale, shake the hands out. Rub the palms together again, breathing. And then let's massage our faces. And you can massage up and out. And if up and out doesn't feel appropriate, do something different. Find what does feel appropriate and do that. And whatever you do, just notice what you're doing. Do it on purpose. And then from here, we can just bring our hands right over our scalps, running the fingertips over the scalp, front to back or back and forth. Or just scrubbing one particular area, if that's what feels good. And do what feels good, and also change it up a little bit. Try different things. See what you like and what you don't like. One of my teachers likes to say that the reason why there are differences is so that we can try different things and see what do we like, what do we don't like, because it's in those things that we like and don't like, that's where our lessons live. That's what helps us to know what our path is, so we can walk it on purpose. as you're ready, your hands can move down the back of your neck and then around. And a nice deep breath in. And shake it out. Rubbing the palms together. Breathing. Filling your body with your breath. Bring the breath deep into the body. Let's move right to our self-shoulder massage, beginning with the left arm up to the right shoulder and alternating side to side. One more on each side. Big breath in and out. Man, that was sore for me. I don't know about you. I think I was doing some exercises yesterday that left my shoulders feeling sore. So let's keep going, opening the shoulders and the chest so we can support our right elbow with our left arm so that we can give some padding where we were just massaging. You can do it with a soft fist, or you can do it with the edge of your hand, or with beak fingers. Whatever feels good along that big muscle, the trapezius muscle in between the shoulder joint and the neck. And then you can work your way down to the collarbone, maybe working along the collarbone, just a little above it, and just a little below it. And then as you work below the collarbone onto the chest, maybe making beak fingers so you can get a little more specific with your sensations, and working close to the sternum and the breastbone, and all the way out towards the shoulder joint, just working back and forth along that lower border of the collarbone. And there are generally going to be some tender spots there, so be gentle with yourself. No need for it to hurt. But if it does feel tender, maybe lighten up and hang out on those places. There's a lot of muscular tension that's held in this area. And these acupuncture points are very good at helping the breath and the energy, the chi, the mind to descend downwards. It's like this area of the collarbone is a space, it's like a receptacle where things can just move in. And we have to receive things in so that we can process them and then let go of what we don't need of those things, as opposed to having all of it just sit in like a basin that's plugged up. We want to stimulate these points to like open up the drain and just let it move through. And then, as you feel ready, you can start to tap down the edge of the sternum where the ribs and the sternum meet, maybe in between the rib spaces, maybe on the ribs themselves. And again, just take your time. Feel what it feels like here. This is also an area where there can be a lot of held tension, where we kind of collapse in, protect our hearts, draw back from the world. And so we want to be able to rise up and just meet what is. we can have a soft front while maintaining a strong back. Remembering to breathe. And if it's tender and it hurts where you're tapping, you can tap lightly. You can stimulate these areas in a way that isn't painful, that allows you to meet sensation and breathe into sensation and build your capacity to be with what is. Because I really do feel like that's what we need to do now if we want to keep being here, is increase our capacity to be with what is without feeling the need to run away or to hide or to freak out. Because if we want to have an appropriate response and meet what is in a good way, we have to just be able to meet it first before doing anything about it. And when you're ready, you can then just massage the area of the shoulder and the collarbone above and below and along the edge of the collarbone and the ribs, or the sternum and the ribs. And then we can change sides, so we can support our left elbow with our right arm, our right hand, and we can start at the top of the shoulder. Just working our way down in the space above the collarbone and on the collarbone itself, underneath the collarbone, maybe making the bird beak fingers and exploring that whole bottom edge. And the different sides of our body can sometimes feel so different from each other. So just noticing what it feels like. If it feels the same as the other side, if it feels more or less tender, or more or less tender in different spots. And it's just something to notice. It's something to be with. And it can be hard to be with stuff. It seems like it's getting harder to be with stuff. But what choice do we have? And so we do have an ability to increase our capacity. So again, that's our responsibility. It's like what we owe the universe for giving us this existence. Whenever you're ready, you can start to work along the side of the sternum, where the ribs and the sternum come together. And remember to breathe in and out. We've mentioned the names of some of the acupuncture points that line the edge of the sternum, like the burial ground of the soul and the resurrection of the spirit, and walking on the veranda. The storehouse of evolved consciousness. Like, these are beautiful acupuncture point names. And there's a reason why they named this area of the body with those names. And there's a reason why sometimes this area of the body shrinks away from meeting experience. Sometimes our soul gets buried Sometimes it needs to be resurrected. Sometimes we need to go out on the veranda and look at the stars. Whenever you feel ready, you can massage this area. Continue to breathe and to feel. And continue to breathe and feel for the rest of your life. And then let's bring soft fists and we can pat our upper chests and pat along the edge of the sternum, do our gorilla pat. There's a reason why gorillas do this. I mean, that's a fun thing to consider. Like, why does a gorilla do this? Why is it like instinctive for them? It's not like they went to a Qigong class and had someone say, hey, you can stimulate the upper kidney meridian and awaken your heart. Like, they just do this. There's something innate, some kind of wisdom that's informing why they do this. Gorillas who have never met each other do this. The same thing. Why? Something to consider, to just think about, feel into, experience. What does it feel like when you do this? Are there times where you feel like doing this might be useful? If there are, if it ever occurs to you, maybe try it, do it, see what happens, what changes about your experience, your perceptions. And then when you're ready, you can move down onto the lower ribs, and if you want to continue to pat with soft fists, you can do that, or open palms, or even just transition into massaging and rubbing. Like, try different stuff, see what feels appropriate. And then eventually over time, we'll bring one hand over the belly and one hand over the chest, massaging those areas, and then whichever hand is lower can switch hands. And then both hands can start to move down over the abdomen and the belly. Just feeling what the abdomen feels like. Seeing if you can tune in to the organs inside of your body, inside of your abdomen. When you're ready, you can bring your hands around your waist to the area of the lower back and the kidneys. Then we can draw our hands out, shake them out, and rub the palms together, breathing. And then let's massage our arms, beginning with the left arm. We'll tap the fingertips, and run the hand up the outside and down the inside, going at whatever speed you'd like to go, using however much pressure you'd like to use. But feel what it feels like. Does it feel good? Do you like the way that it feels? Notice and adjust as you feel necessary. Maybe it all feels good. Maybe none of it feels good. Whatever it is, just notice it. Be with it. Notice how being with it might make it change a little bit. Maybe it doesn't change. Notice that. we can come up one more time and then down. Changing sides. Up the outside, down the inside. And again, a different side has a different story. So pay attention. Notice. How do things feel? How would you like them to feel? Is how you would like them to feel different than how they feel? Can you let go of wanting it to feel any particular kind of way and just feel how it feels? And we'll go up one more time and then down. Big breath in. Shake it out. Rubbing the palms together, and then we can bring our feet out in front of us. And we can use our hands to massage our feet. If your feet aren't accessible to you, you can massage your knees, or your calves, or your thighs. And again, take some time to just massage your feet and feel. What does it feel like? Could it feel better? Can you find a way of doing it that feels really good? Like, our feet do so much for us. And they ask so little in return, and often get very little in return. And so just letting them be felt, letting yourself feel your feet and your toes, the edge of your foot and the top of your foot and the bottom of your foot. And it's kind of like when we massage our neck, when we massage our feet, it can just feel so nice. Almost to the point where we might even ask, why don't I massage my feet more often? This feels good. It's like if you're ever feeling not good for whatever reason, physically not good or emotionally not good, if you were to massage your feet and then feel good, possible to feel good even in the midst of not feeling good. And then if you'd like, you can follow the funnel down on the bottom of the foot and just apply some gentle pressure there. Just let your mind move to the bottom of your feet, out of your head, through your body, down to the foot, the bottom of the foot. And then from here, we can draw our hands up the legs and around the hips and down the outside. And just as we did with the arms, just feel what this feels like. Does it feel good to move fast? Does it feel good to move slow? What kind of pressure do you respond to in this moment? And again, if doing this is difficult, you don't have to go all the way down to the feet. You don't even have to do it at all, but you can maybe move through these areas just with your awareness, with your breath. And we can come up one more time and around and down and out the feet. And then a big breath in, shaking it out. Rubbing the palms together one more time for now. We can tuck our thumbs back into our fingers, let our hands rest back on our thighs, and return to the awareness of your body and your alignment. Root down through your seat so you can feel that upward lift, up and out, the back and the top of the head. Feel that lifting upwards and that rooting downwards. And then in between those two poles, fill it with breath so that you can get long and wide and deep. And as you find that, when you exhale, see if you can maintain some of that. You might notice some engagement in what we call the lower dantian. And not only in the front, see if you can feel that engagement all the way around to the back. Establishing a center, a core. Maybe even thinking about, what does center or core mean? On the Jing level, the physical sense, to have a center or a core. What does it mean on the Qi level, on the energetic, subtler sense of core and center? What does it mean on the Shen level, on the universal sense? A center of a universe that has no boundaries. Where is a center when there's no circumference? Where is the center when there is a circumference? And whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. All right. Great. Any questions about anything?
Why do you do this in yoga? I was taught to do this.
Sure, yeah, so there's different mudras. And a mudra, the word mudra actually translates as a seal. So it can also be translated as gesture, but this idea of a seal is like we're kind of creating a seal so that the energy moves in a certain way in our bodies. And so there are, many, many different mudras in the yoga tradition, also in the Chinese and the Qigong tradition. There's a lot of kung fu movies where you'll see somebody do a bunch of mudras and then break a wall, because they're getting the energy moving in a certain kind of way. But there's mudras where, and it's really amazing when you do them and you breathe, you can feel certain mudras, like the breath is maybe moving deeper in the body, or maybe it's moving outwards, or maybe it's moving up one side and down the other side. It's amazing. But when we tuck our thumbs into our fingers, so a couple different reasons. When we're doing these Qigong practices, we're cultivating internal awareness and internal energy. And so that's part of what this means. Whereas if the thumb was on the outside, it's that's more of a martial arts kung fu, like a fist. And so it's the energy is for outward application. So this is inward application. And then also with the thumbs on the inside of the palms, it really allows the Qi to build in the hands. And so, it's actually, this is very helpful. It's a good time of year for it too. When you feel really cold and it's hard to get warm, if you tuck your thumbs in your fingers, it's a way of really helping to generate heat in the body. But it really generates heat in the hands as well, but then from the hands, it kind of gets the rest of the body going. And so we start like this because then we do the self-massage. So we're building Qi in our hands to then have this Qi to apply it to our bodies. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, great question.
Good answer.
Yeah, there are reasons why we do all these things. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Okay. So we're going to do some Qigong as Tai Chi today. We're going to kind of start this process and work through it for a little while. You know, there's layers that we can work with. And, you know, Tai Chi it's pretty well known in the world. There's so much research around Tai Chi, especially in the past several years. Harvard has done a whole, they have so much research about Tai Chi specifically. They have a book, actually, that was written about it, I think, over 10 years ago now, maybe 10, 15 years ago, and then recently they just kind of revisited that book and all of the research that book kind of gave rise to. And so, you know, there's a lot of evidence-based I don't know what to call it, evidence-based medicine, I guess, around the benefits of Tai Chi for the physical body, for the cardiovascular system, for the neurological system, for cognitive health, for so many different things. So it's a good thing. And what's interesting is that Tai Chi, as it's really practiced for the most part around the world, is essentially Qigong. And so, you know, a lot of people will ask, what's the difference between Tai Chi and Qigong? And they're probably more similar than they are different. You know, Qigong came first. Qigong is very old, potentially tens of thousands or more years old. It's rooted in shamanism, essentially, you know, where way back in the day we had the cycles of the seasons, and those were acknowledged through ritual and ceremony, and often that involved certain movements and gestures similar to mudras to kind of get the energy moving in our bodies in a certain way to attune with the cycles of the seasons that were happening at that time. And over the centuries and millennia, those gestures got formalized into forms, into these Qigong forms like Yi Jin Jing and the 6 sounds therapy and the 5 animal frolics and the 8 pieces of brocade, all of that. And then in the story goes, about the 13th century, I believe, was when Tai Chi was more formalized as a martial art. And so it was a fighting form originally. And that's kind of what it has been. And there's lots of different forms of Tai Chi. There's different Tai Chi families. But there's this common movements to all of them. They may look a little bit different, but some are, if you were to see them, even if they look a little different, you could say like, oh yeah, that movement and that movement are very similar, almost the same thing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do some Qigong and we're going to do some Tai Chi, but we're going to do Tai Chi as Qigong. And so again, what's the difference between the two? Often, Qigong, we're standing in place. And often when we're doing something with our arms, it's like both arms at the same time doing the same thing. And we might do that same thing many, many different many times without moving on to something else. We're often standing in place, again, bilateral movement, non-sequential movement. Tai Chi, often one hand is doing one thing and the other hand is doing something else. Often we're walking with Tai Chi, you're moving around. Often you do a movement 1 to 3 times and then you switch to a different movement, and so you move through a sequence. There is a form, there's a beginning, and there's a first movement and a second movement and a third movement, all the way to often 108 movements, and you go through the whole form. So that's some of the differences. So doing Tai Chi as Qigong, we can do Tai Chi standing in place. And we can do one hand doing one thing while another hand does something else, but we can also do that one movement over and over again without having to move through a sequence. And so in this way, Tai Chi becomes more of a Qigong type of practice, because some of the benefits that come from Tai Chi are the fact that you're doing something, 2 hands are doing different things, and you're moving around, and you're keeping track of a sequence. And so that makes it a little bit more challenging for the nervous system. There's more to keep track of. It really works with neuroplasticity in that way. Qigong is wonderful because it allows you to just deeply drop in and relax and get into the parasympathetic nervous system, you know, vagal tone, just expansive awareness, and just kind of this deep calm. And so when we're doing Tai Chi as Qigong, we get the benefits of both. We bring them together. The interesting thing also, having said all of that, is that this research that Harvard has done demonstrated that Qigong and Tai Chi have the same benefits. So you don't have to do one or the other. It's not like, do this one for that and do that one for this. Do them both, and they both will get you there eventually, get you to the same place. Might be a slightly different path, and you might take different steps along the way, but ultimately the benefits as far as overall longevity and health and wellness and cognitive enhancement and all of those things, you get them either way. So that's where I don't want you to just, to worry, like if we're doing Tai Chi as Qigong, are we missing out on something? No, we are not. So there's that. So we can be excited about that. And the other thing also, just all this talk about Tai Chi, is that this is Tai Chi. This symbol is called Tai Chi. And so Tai Chi is not the form specifically. The form that is known, the martial art that is known as Tai Chi, is called Tai Chi because it's an embodiment of this. And what is this? This is depicting yin and yang in balance and harmony. And within yin, there's a little bit of yang, and within yang, there's a little bit of yin. And so that's where, and this is true for Qigong as well. So we're inhaling and exhaling. That's yin and yang. And when we're inhaling and exhaling consciously in a calm and measured and balanced way, that creates harmony within our bodies. We're moving, but we're not moving so fast or so effortful that we're getting worn out. We're moving in this relaxed and slow and steady way that helps to then harmonize. So we're getting muscular work, we're getting cardiovascular work, but we're not exhausting ourselves. We might often even feel a little bit more energized or stronger or more awake after doing exercise, as opposed to feeling worn out. Sometimes you work out really hard, and when you're done, you're like, I'm going to go collapse now. That's working out. One of my teachers likes to say, doing Qigong and Tai Chi, we're working in. We're like building up the energy. So we actually, again, we're not feeling exhausted. We're feeling nourished and replenished. Because again, there's movement, but there's relaxation. There's yin and there's yang. It's about balancing out the activities, harmonizing the activities, harmonizing our internal environment with the external environment, harmonizing the focus of our mind on what we're doing with a relaxed and expansive awareness. So we're not so hyper-focused on something that we're becoming tense about it. We can concentrate, and that concentration helps to focus the mind so that then all of a sudden the mind becomes very spacious and clear, but also very much vibrant and engaged. It's not like we're just tuned out somewhere, like looking at static on a television. It's like we're very here, concentrated, but expansive. So again, that's this idea of Tai Chi. So again, it's not so specific to doing a specific form in a specific kind of way. It's actually an experience that we are embodying, that we can then have in our lives and find in everything that we're doing. The place that Tai Chi is considered to have been invented is a place in China called Wudangshan. It's a mountain range. And the person who founded Tai Chi did it there. And all over Wudang, there are plaques that talk about Wudang Tai Chi, saying this method is a way of cultivating a kind of mindset, a kind of way of being. Even though they're doing Tai Chi and martial arts, and sometimes they've got swords and they're doing a whole thing, but it's not about fighting or defending or anything. It's about being a certain kind of way, cultivating a certain type of awareness, a certain type of frequency within yourself that then shows up in everything that you're doing, whether you're practicing Tai Chi or Qigong or not. Then it becomes formless. Then it's always there. It's always the practice. And, I think that's great. All right. So, that's the spiel on that. Now we can actually have the experience of what it's like to to be balanced and harmonious in our bodies and to move and breathe and focus with intention. So if you'd like, you can stand. And also the nice thing about these forms is that they can be done seated very easily. So if you would like to remain seated while we do this, you can also practice that way. So I'm going to move this back. Okay. See if we've got enough space here. All right. So we're going to start with basically what kind of will look and probably feel a lot like Qigong. And then we're going to, depending on the time that we have, then we'll kind of introduce some of the Tai Chi movements. And my plan is for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be working on this form, introducing the Tai Chi movements. We're going to work on 9 different movements eventually. And so these 9 movements of Tai Chi, these are the ones that are pretty common to all the different Tai Chi families. You know, so there's the Chen style and the Yang style and the Sun style and the Wu style, and I think I'm missing one. But you know, those are all a little bit different. But all of the movements that we'll be learning, if you were to watch any of those forms, you would see something that looks very similar to each one of these 9 movements within that. And I feel like these 9 movements, if that's all that you had to do for your whole life to practice Tai Chi, it would be enough. And honestly, if all you had was one of the movements, that would be enough. All right. So, let's find a comfortable standing posture. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes or you can just soften your gaze just so that you can move your awareness inwards and you can feel your body and feel what it feels like to just stand here. And I would encourage you to lift your toes off of the ground so that you can find the hard parts at the bottom of your feet. And maybe notice from side to side, like, you know, is more weight in one foot than the other. I notice in myself, I tend to have more weight in my left foot than my right foot when I'm not paying attention. And so I need to pay attention to kind of balance it out a little bit. I notice that I tend to be really weighted on the big toe mound of my right foot and really weighted on the outside edge of my left foot. And so that's an imbalance. And that leads to disharmony within my body because it throws my hips and lower back off. And so finding those 3 points of contact, noticing the weight from one foot to the other. You're doing Tai Chi already, just feeling into that. And then as you find your 3 points of contact, just gently spread the floor apart a little bit so that you can really find the outer edges of both feet. Seeing if you can soften your knees so that your weight can then get spread out between the heels and the balls of the feet a little more evenly. And maybe even letting the weight settle more into your heels, more than the balls of the feet. If that causes you to feel a little off balance, spread the floor apart. Root into the outside edges of your feet. Soft knees, maybe bend your knees more than you think you need to, just to feel what that feels like. And then come out of it a little bit. So we don't want to have locked knees. And we don't want to be bending so deep that we're really straining our muscles. Moving up the legs into the pelvis. And if you'd like, you can kind of tuck your pelvis forward and send the tailbone back. Just moving the hips back and forth, letting them just feel some range of motion, maybe making a circle of the hips in one direction and then the other direction. Just again, to feel what things feel like. And then let your pelvis just come to a natural, neutral state for you. One of our classmates sent me a wonderful article about Tai Chi teachers talking about tucking the pelvis forward. That's a cue you sometimes hear, like tuck the hips forward. And this whole article was about how that is structurally unsound for the body, and how all of these high-level Tai Chi teachers who had studied with Chinese teachers, no Chinese teacher ever said that. So it must be some kind of misinterpretation of some kind of translation somewhere along the line that became tuck the hips forward, which again, I really am not a fan of because that rounds your lower back and it just throws your whole, it's like, what is this? What kind of posture is this? This is not balanced and harmonious. And so allowing the pelvis to just be how it is for you and allowing the lower back to be natural. If anything, I don't think what was translated as tuck the pelvis was meant to be tuck the pelvis. I think it was meant to be just let the weight drop down through your heels, soft knees, weight more in the heels. And as you root through the heels, you find that lift and loft that comes all the way back up to the back and the top of the head. And you get this nice extension down into the earth, stable lower body, strong legs, light and lifted upper body where you can be very mobile and free. So yeah, let your weight drop down through your heels, but you don't need to tuck your tailbone. You don't need to alter the natural shape of your body in any kind of way. And then from there, just tuning into the rib cage, bring your awareness up and breathe around the bottom of the rib cage, like as if you had a belt right under your chest on the lower ribs, and see if you can breathe into all 360 degrees of that. At some point, or for those of you on Zoom, if you have like a belt or a yoga strap handy, maybe wrap it around right in this area. Yeah, and if you don't and you want to just put your hands on your lower ribs and then breathe and see if you can push your hands apart, especially from the back lower aspect of the ribs. Like take a breath and see, do your ribs even move in that area? Some people, it's not easy to get those ribs to move. And so we want to notice, what does that feel like? Does it move easily? Can I bring my breath into that area? Does it not move at all? Does it require a lot of focus and intention to be able to breathe there? So notice, and then work on that. This back area of the rib cage is as much the lower dantian as this area of the body is. We want the whole thing turned on and activated. So from the lower rib cage, moving up in between the shoulder blades, behind the heart, breathing behind the heart, allowing the breath to fill the back side of the body so that the shoulder blades might even spread a little bit. And then coming around to the collarbones and thinking about lifting your collarbones up. Like if your shoulders were a shelf, it's so common that our shoulders, everything would just slide right off the shelf this way. And so can we just lift the collarbones so that we're up? And we're not thrusting ourselves forward like this, it's just lifting the collarbones. Still, knees soft, still rooted through the heels, still breathing into the backside of the rib cage, but with lifted collarbones, so that things spread wide out this way, so that the chest is lifted and open, which actually allows us to breathe more fully into the backside of the rib cage, which is really where you want to focus your breath. The backside of the rib cage all the way down to the lower ribs, all the way down to your heels. And then continuing up the back of the neck to the back of the head and the notch on the back of the head. Think about reaching back and slightly up, like as if somebody was maybe taking the back of your ears or taking the back of your head and just pulling it gently at a 45-degree angle, up and back, so that the chin tucks slightly, so that you get length through the back of the neck, so that you can breathe high into the bridge of the nose and feel these big sternocleidomastoid muscles turning on, helping you to lift up into the sky, which then allows you to root down more strongly through the outer edges and the heels of your feet, which then also cause the shoulders to just drop and spread And there's all this activity going on in this static standing posture. And this is a Tai Chi practice. So breathing into all this sensation. And maintaining this engaged, active, dynamic posture. The next time that you inhale, inhale and turn your palms forward. And then exhale and turn your palms backwards. And breathe like that. In, forwards, and out, backwards. And then very subtly, as you inhale, your whole foot stays flat on the ground, but the weight comes more into the balls of the feet. And as you exhale, your whole foot stays on the ground, but the weight moves more into your heels. Maybe your toes lift. And then inhale, very gently. And exhale, just feel that weight shift from the back of the foot to the front of the foot on the inhale. And exhale, soft knees. The next inhale, the palms face forward and the hands float up a little higher. Holding on your inhale. And then exhale, palms down, knees bend a little deeply. Send your hips back, but keep the spine nice and long, reaching through the back of the head. And then inhale, sweep up. Weight into the balls of the feet. And then exhale, toes lift. Hips shift back, but the spine is nice and long, reaching. And then again, inhaling. Exhale. Toes lift, hips back. In, and as you inhale and the weight comes to the balls of the feet, maybe you lift off the heels very slightly. And then exhaling. And as we exhale, we're not rounding like this. So don't do this. Don't bring your chin towards your chest. Inhale, coming up. As we exhale, send your hips back, slight bend in the knees, reach through the back of your head so you're nice and long. And then inhaling. And out. Couple more like this. And the hands can come shoulder level. If you want to go a little higher, you can. Move with your breath. Find your rhythm. Reach your hips back. Lift the toes. Inhale. And exhale. So introduce a little bit of movement here. We're going to inhale. And as you exhale, step the window foot in, closer to your other foot. And now we're going to inhale and step that same foot back out. And then exhale, bring the other foot in. So just a little side to side movement. Harmonize with your breath. In and step. And out and step in. Take your time. Really move through each piece of the process. A couple more like this. Inhaling up and stepping out. Exhaling down and stepping in. And just feel the weight shift. Feel all the different muscles that need to wake up and get involved. The muscles around your ankles, around your knees, around your hips. It's a simple movement, but it's very important for getting all of these small joint stabilizing muscles working. These muscles help us to move gracefully. They help us to maintain balance. They actually help to inform our nervous system about where we are in space. They can help you pay better attention. So this time we're going to inhale up and step out. And then stay here and exhale. And just return to the basic movement, inhaling, maybe coming off the heels. Exhaling, settling down, lifting just the toes as the hips move back, reaching through the back of the skull. And again, in and out. This inhale, just bend a little deeper, reach out a little further as you come up. And then a regular exhale. Hips are back. And then just let them drop a little bit and reaching out. And the hips and the hands move away from each other as you come up. Again, inhaling. The hips move back. The hands reach out. And that's what brings us up. Lifting through the feet with the legs, not the back. 2 more. Inhale and reaching out with the hands and the hips. And exhale. Last one. In and out. One more, just basic movement. Let your hands relax by your sides. Take a few breaths. So there's not too much technicality with that movement, but it gets things flowing. Blood, chi, you might feel a little warmer. Legs might feel a little more active. So, again, palms forward, inhale. And then exhale. This time, we're going to inhale up. And then exhale out to the sides. Inhale right up the front of the body. Turn the palms up. And then exhale. Again, inhaling, palms towards the body, and then towards the sky, look up and stretch. And then exhale, hands come around, make fists with your hands, press your fists together. And then inhale, stretch. Exhale, make fists, bring your chin towards your chest this time, press the fists together, bring yourself out on the exhale, and then inhale. Exhale. Make fists with your hands, make fists with your feet, bring it out. And then big deep breath in. Long, slow exhalation as you make fists with the hands, fists with the feet, bringing the chin towards the chest, squeezing the body like you're wringing out a sponge, holding the exhale out, and then breathe in. And out. All the way out. Bring it all out. So you can then freshen up. Breathe it in. Couple more like this. Breathing at your own pace, taking your time. But just as you exhale, fists with the hands, with the feet, with the face, with your perineum, with your core, so you can then open, breathe, stretch, fill up like a sponge, filling up, and then wring it all out. We're pumping everything through our body. Pumping our blood, pumping our lymph, pumping oxygen, flushing out our organs, our lymph glands, our kidneys and our liver, our intestines. Bringing it in and flushing it through. Cleansing the whole body. This is such a powerful movement for the immune system, for the lymph system, Lymphatic congestion is what drives so many autoimmune conditions. This is the remedy for that. Bringing it out, and one more time, we're going to inhale, and then exhale. And just roll yourself up on the inhale, and exhale down. Take a couple breaths. And just feel the breath moving through your whole body. Moving into the body, moving out the arms and the legs. Return to the bottom of your feet. Lift your toes. Find the outside edges of your feet and your heels. Soften your knees slightly. Breathe into the lower back rib cage all the way up behind the heart. Lift and spread the collarbones. Reach through the back and the top of the head. Find length and width and depth. There's like so much to keep track of, so it never gets boring. If you're bored, you're not paying enough attention. Next movement. Inhale, root down through your feet. Lengthen out of the top of the head. On the exhale, lean towards the mirrors, over to the side. You can bring your window hand to your hip. Little micro bend in the mirror leg, and then through that leg, inhale, press through the leg to come up. Get long and tall, and then exhale over towards the windows. Micro bend in the window knee. Mirror hand can come to the hip. And then press through your leg. Inhale. Press through the leg to come up. And exhale. Just going side to side, moving at your pace. If it's different than my pace, that's fine. But take your time, get all the way lengthened before you come over to the side. Make sure you give a little bend to the knee so that you can lift yourself up with your legs and not your back. Exhaling over to the side. Inhaling up to center. If you want to have a wider stance or a narrower stance, you can do that. And you can take a deeper bend into the knee and pressing yourself up through that leg. You can adjust the angles of your feet as you need to. So you can angle the feet out a little more so that your knee can track comfortably over your foot. Like, find what works for you. On your next inhale, inhale your arms out to a T. And then exhale towards the mirrors. Mirror hand on the leg, window hand up overhead, and then inhale up to a T, and exhale over to the other side, bending that knee, stretching just as far as is comfortable. Use the foot, pressing yourself up, and exhale. Only go as far as is comfortable. Maybe your hands are not even moving. Maybe your arms are still by your side, or maybe as you come over to the side, maybe the arm just comes straight up overhead. That's fine. Work within your comfort zone. We're not looking for any sharp, pointy edges in the spine. We're just wanting to lubricate the spine, to hydrate the discs in between the vertebrae. It's like fluffing up the pillows, creating more space, getting a nice stretch in the side of the body and the latissimus dorsi muscle, which helps to then create length in the back for movement, for breathing, for so many different things. Inhaling all the way to center, and then exhaling over. Getting long and tall, and then a gentle side bend. Inhaling one more time towards the mirror side. And then inhaling to center. Exhaling. Interlace your fingers. Inhale up to your throat. Turn your palms up. Exhale, up and out. Hold at the bottom of the exhale till your arms get to the shoulders, and then inhale down. Keep inhaling all the way up to your throat. Turn the palms up. Exhale. Inhale. Palms up. Exhale. Slowing everything down. In. And out. In. Palms up and out. In. Up to the throat. This time, turn the palms down and exhale. Inhale the arms out. Exhale, send your hips back. Bending the knees, gathering from the earth. Press through your heels. Come up. And then relax. Inhale, reaching up, gathering from the sky. Exhale to the level of the heart. Inhale, open. Exhale, gather from the earth. Spine is nice and tall. We're not folding forward. Press through your heels. Inhale up. Exhale, open. Inhale, gather from the sky. Exhale to the heart. In. Hips back, knees bend, out. In. Out. One more time. In. And out. Standing for a breath or two. And again, find your weight in your feet. Are you in the front of your feet? Are you in the back of your feet? Are you balanced? Are you in the left or the right foot? Are you even? Can you lift your toes and find your 3 points of contact with soft knees? Can you lift through the back and the top of your head? Let the collarbones be lifted and wide. Can you breathe into the front and the back of the lower dantian? Again, inhale, palms forward, hands float up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Weight shift. Exhale, step the mirror foot in. And just stand. So now moving into some more Tai Chi type stuff. So with Tai Chi, just like Qigong, we begin. When we begin, it's called opening. And when we end, and it's called closing. And we can open and close easily as one movement almost. So let's practice that. It's very similar to this flowing motion movement that we've done already. So here we can soften our knees, sink a little bit, and then inhale and step out, open. Exhale, just settle. The hands float down. we'll close towards the mirrors. So inhale, shift the weight, and then exhale, close. So we do Tai Chi slow. Sink, inhale, open, step out towards the windows, and then just settle into the center. Feel the weight in each foot, front to back, side to side. Inhale and gather everything towards the middle. Yeah. And the foot and the hands land together. Sinking. Weight shift into that window foot so you can open out towards the mirrors. And settle. Weight shift towards the mirrors so that you can gather in and close. Sinking, opening towards the windows, and then settle. So we're open. Weight shift towards the windows, and we gather, and we close. And so we'll move like this just for a little bit, sinking and opening, stepping out, weight shift, settle. Take your time. There's so much to notice. Weight shift, gather, and close. And you can take very small steps out to the side. If you want to open an inch or less, you can do that. And the whole movement might become a little bit smaller. The arms don't have to open as wide. You don't have to go as far. And you can close. If you want to challenge yourself, you can sink and you can open as far as you can reach. And settle in. Gather. So find the distance that works for you. A wider step means more balance challenge, sinking lower in the legs, a little more physical effort. You have to shift a little further and gather everything in. So you can play with this. You can also play with as you reach out. Are you stepping toe first? That's great. Toe first is fine. And then you can shift weight and gather in and toe down, and that's fine. You want to play with things, you can open out, heel first, and then settle. And gather everything in and place your heel down, and then the rest of the foot. So which one's right? Neither. It's the one that you do. The trick is to just do whichever one that you're doing on purpose. Like, are you stepping in toe first because that's what you want to do, or because that's just what's happening? And it's fine if it's just what's happening, then notice what's happening and then do that. And if that's just what's happening, it might be fun to say, well, what would it be like to do something different? Something other than what happens automatically. This is how we build neuroplasticity. This is how we build concentration and awareness that spills over into all other aspects of our lives. Even with the hands, you will meet teachers who say, the hands must come all the way up and then down. And there will be teachers who will say the hands come just to the top of the head and then down. There might even be a teacher who says the hands come to the tops of the shoulders, to the chin, and then down. And so, who's right? Who's wrong? Or is it just that there's so many different ways of doing this, and all of them are okay? We just want to do whatever we're doing on purpose. We want to know what we're doing when we're doing it. So we'll open again and settle. And then we'll close to this side, and then we'll introduce another movement. So let's open towards the windows, and the mirror hand is going to come underneath like we're holding a ball. So we have a ball between our upper and lower hands. The upper hand is about the shoulder girdle level. The lower hand is about the pelvic girdle, lower dantian level. And we've got our ball, we're holding it, it's buoyant, and then we can let it fall, and we can close towards the windows. And then let's open towards the mirror. And the window hand comes underneath, and we've got our ball. And then we can let the ball drop, and we can close. So again, let's open like that. We open towards the mirrors, the hands come out, and we settle to the center by holding the ball. And then we drop the ball and we gather everything in. Sink. Open. Window hand holds the ball. Drop the ball. Close. Sink. Open. Hold the ball. Drop the ball. And close. And let your hands rest by your sides. Notice the alignment of your body. Notice the feet on the ground. Where the weight is in your feet. Notice the bend in your knees. Notice the condition of your pelvis. The back, lower aspect of the rib cage, the space behind the heart, the collarbones, the shoulder blades, the space around the heart and the lungs, the back of the neck and the head, the movement of the breath through the body. Just feeling your alignment, your breathing, balance and harmony. Last week we spoke a little bit about ritual and the importance of ritual for maintaining order in the universe, and how in our modern times we're all so busy and doing so many different things at so many different times. We don't really have any kind of ritual, even if it's just, chewing and swallowing completely before you take your next bite, or finishing your meal before you get up and walk away from the table, or just finishing anything before you start something else. Acknowledging these transitions, the way that shamans thousands of years ago acknowledged the transition from season to season. Each season was essential for every other season. Each thing we do is essential to everything else that we're doing. How much are we aware of what we're doing when we're doing it? When we're completing something, or beginning something, or in the middle of something. Remembering that, attuning to that, training ourselves to be more aware of all of that. I feel, is what helps to maintain the integrity of the fabric of society and the universe. I don't think it's a stretch to say that the fabric of our society is frayed and coming apart. So how can we reestablish it? Taking the time to practice things like this, where we intentionally begin and open and practice, and intentionally close and end, and inhale completely before we exhale completely. That helps to inform everything else that we do, which can help to establish a center of gravity around which things can orient. It's our responsibility as people who are aware of these things to do these things for the benefit of everyone else and ourselves. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to practice and cultivate this awareness. Let's rub our hands together. We can relax our stance. Massage our faces a couple times. Back and forth over the top of the head. Down the back of the neck and around. Palms together, thumbs against the sternum. Hands over the lower rib cage, onto the belly, around the waist, the lower back. Drawing the hands out. Shake them out. Pat up one arm. And then down. Up the other arm. And then down. Around and down the back of the body. Up the front. One more time, around and down the back of the legs. Up the front. A little shake, maybe some sighs of relief. Alright, good. So that was just the beginning. You know, we opened and we got to here. And this is where we start. So we'll continue on with that next time. We'll build on it. We'll probably get through, I would think, at least 3 or 4 movements next week, and then we'll just play with it. And as we learn the movements, you know, we can kind of play with the movements. There's also drills that we can do with each individual movement that are also really wonderful moving meditations, like good for the body, good for the mind, good for the spirit. So we'll do all of that. Well, there's a lot to play with this. It's very accessible, very user-friendly, and it will take you as far as you need to go. So again, thank you so much for being here, and I'll be here next week. Yes, have a great rest of the week, and again, just practice opening and closing. I mean, just that's enough, you know, just opening out and settle. And then gather in and close. You know, and it might not seem like a lot, but it holds the fabric of the universe together. All right, great. Thank you.
I love that.
All right. Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your week, or rest of your day. Bye.